Hi, I'm Sophia.
And I'm Sanjana.
And we're the SS Science.
Get ready to sail with us
Through a sea of scientific knowledge.
Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing an experiment called Lava in a Cup. It's a fairly easy experiment which contains materials that you'll find around your house, so if you want to do this at home, that would be great. Just make sure that you have parental supervision. Here's what you will need: a clear drinking glass, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, 1 teaspoon of salt, water, and food coloring. So the first thing to do is fill the glass 3/4 of the way full with water. Next, you can add your food coloring if you're using any. Just 2 or 3 drops should be fine. The next step, and this is where the experiment starts, is pouring the oil on top of the water. Now we're going to sprinkle 1 teaspoon of salt on top of our solution.
Notice here how the oil is falling to the bottom of the cup.
If you notice, the oil that had gone down in the beginning when we poured the salt in is now starting to bubble up slowly. Observe these bubbles that are floating up right now.
So what was this experiment all about?
Great question. This experiment was about density. Density is the amount of stuff or mass that's packed into a certain volume. Think about it like this. If you have 1 handful of clay versus 1 handful of cotton, which one do you think would be more dense?
Would it be the handful of clay?
You would be absolutely correct. And that the reason you can tell that it would be the clay is because when you try to squish down on the clay, it's a lot harder to do because there's so much mass already packed into that area. It's so much more compact than the cotton. So the clay would be more dense.
Oh, so is that why the oil floats on top of the water, because it's less dense than the water?
Exactly, and that's also why the oil eventually fell down when the salt was added to it. You see, when we added the salt, it made the overall weight of the oil heavier than that of the water, so when the salt fell, it brought some oil down with it.
But then why did the oil float back to the top?
The oil floated back up to the top because eventually the salt molecules detached themselves from the oil, so the oil returned back to its original density, which is less than that of water, and so then it needed to float back up
To return to its original state of resting on top of water.
That makes a lot of sense.
Great, I'm glad, and I hope it made sense to you too.
Thank you for voyaging with us on the SS Science.
We hope you had fun learning.